Hello everyone, welcome to Red Snapper. My name's MJ and this is Snap or Pass, a series where we look at the brand new cards coming to Marvel Snap each week. And this is the brand new season. It's the What If season, and the season pass card is Captain Carter. She's a 4/3 ongoing. Add this card's power to your back row cards here. Can't add to itself. This is extremely cool. Obviously it's opening up a brand new mechanic that we've not seen about the placement of cards in the front or back. And in this video we're going to be looking at everything to do with the cards. We're going to look at the Synergies counters, we'll give you some deck ideas, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. You should definitely subscribe. Loads of you still aren't subscribed, so do me a massive favour if you did. It really helps the channel. You can skip to the section you want below using the chapters. Otherwise, let's just delve into it. Let's have a look at the season in general first of all, as in the paid elements of the season pass, okay? So you get this season pass variant, very nice, very strong, and then I didn't actually indicate on the screen, I was talking about the Captain Carter one. You also get a variant for Uatu the Watcher, and as at time of recording, we've actually got an OTA today, so by the time you watch this video, there should have been an OTA. I'm thinking, guys, surely Uatu's going to get some love in this OTA. You can't go into a What If season with the overarching character of that season, Uatu. I mean, Captain Carter is kind of like the narrative thread running through it as well. But come on, Uatu's got to get some love here, guys, come on. And also a really nice Iron Man variant. Again, this is from the What If series, which is on Disney+. I massively recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's extremely cool. In one of the episodes, what this variant is from, I don't know if that was actually good English, to be fair. Yeah, but Tony Stark lands on Sakaar and he ends up building like a racer or something. It's pretty cool. And there's also like this Infinity Ultron card back. So yeah, seems like a cool season pass. Anyway, Captain Carter. This is, guys, this is Captain Carter. This is basically Captain Britain, okay? This is basically Captain Britain. God save our quick king. So, yeah. To be honest, guys, I don't actually believe in God, and I'm not really pro-monarchy, so not my favourite song. Right, sorry about all of that. She is the first card which is dedicated to this new rowing archetype. It cares about the placement. Where are you playing your other cards? Where are you playing Captain Carter? All of that has a knock-on effect. So I think this is a new archetype that we'll have to explore in future. In the data mines, there is a second card which cares about where you play stuff. That's Dum Dum Dugan, hopefully coming soon to the game. We don't actually know how we're getting it as of time of recording. And I don't think there's any other cards that are data mined that actually have the specific rowing mechanic type stuff. But it'll be very interesting to see more cards that are released like this in the future, because I think it adds an entirely new dynamic to the game, so that's really cool. I think she's going to fit into the buffs archetypes naturally. Any card which, this card is a little bit complicated and a little bit difficult to play, but essentially she triplicates any buffs onto her, right? Because she can pass on those buffs to two other cards, potentially two other cards, at least actually. So that's very interesting. She's going to fit into the buff archetypes. Space Savers, the Space Savers archetype, which I mentioned a few times before. This is the kind of deck where you have some mergers and then you have cards like Shanna and Baron Zemo that add a lot of value but potentially screw you over by using up a lot of space. Well, Captain Carter kind of wants you to use up space because you want to get her down in the front, so you have to have something else played there first probably, and then you want to fill in her location in the back. So Space Savers is all about filling, so I think there is, it might sound like they're like brilliant, they're like anti-synergistic, but actually I think there will be some synergy there. She's going to fit well into Zoo. Again, you want to fill up places. The Mergers deck, I put Spider Buffs here. I think I'm just generally like pretty slowly losing my mind. I think Spider Buffs is a bit of a specific archetype to really give its own logo here, but it is one of my favourite decks in the game. What I'm talking about is what I call the Savage Spider deck, okay? If you want to watch a video where I made about this, go and check it out. I think it's called like Savage Spider or something. Anyway, you'll see it. It's Scarlet Spider on the thumbnail. Scarlet Spider, Lasher, you're giving them buffs. I think Captain Carter's going to fit into there. Doom, the Doom archetype, she feels like a natural inclusion in there too. Set power, so this is like your Agent Venom, your Bast, all of these sorts of things. I think that should work well with those cards. We'll have a look at a deck later on anyway, but Athena, those other few cards I just mentioned, even things like Cassandra Nova, when you've got lots of cheaper cards that can potentially reach a very high power level, giving them that extra reach with something like Captain Carter is going to feel really nice, especially if you can then even just increase Captain Carter's power beyond what Bast and Agent Venom can do. Patriot decks could be very interesting. Again, we like filling, and of course ongoing decks. I think are going to like Captain Carter a decent amount. So she is spearheading the new rowing archetype. What could this do in future? Very interested to see. She benefits from, I should say, as far as we know, okay, she benefits from permanent buffs like Galacta and ongoing buffs like Captain America. Now, Galacta is kind of a bit of a dodgy example because you almost don't want to... It's almost a bit awkward having to play Galacta alongside Captain Carter because they both cost 4. Captain Carter cares about where you're playing her and actually you have to play it from a different location from Galacta. So it's maybe not the best example, but it's the example that you've been given. So if played in the front row, she can be a +6 total benefit. Or if you play her in the back row, which of course you can still do, but then you only get the brilliant. You only get +3 power benefit from her. So really, you do really want to play her in the front row, and almost, brilliant. This is going to absolute pot. Almost always, you probably want her to be the second card that you play at that location, so you can just boom straight away. You can start getting the benefits from those buffs that she's going to give in the back. And this is the start of a new era of Snap where placement and ordering is more important than ever before. We have never really had to worry that much about where we're playing our cards or the ordering. Okay, the ordering has been a little bit important, especially if you think about cards like Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And of course, placement has come into play a little bit when you think about move disruption and cards like Magneto. But this truly is going to be, it's going to add an extra level of thought process that you have to go through, which I think for players that really like engaging, would I say, intellectually with the game, I think those types of players are going to absolutely love this and potentially have a slightly higher skill ceiling because of it. So the pros, being able to triplicate buffs, especially ongoing buffs, is very powerful. Like think about Blue Marvel coming down, you can play it on curve even after the Captain Marvel. Sticking it all just pings around and we love it. I think that's going to be really cool. And she benefits a lot of decks, so she can fit in anything that fills the board. As you can see on this slide that we got here, I've got loads of archetypes listed here, so I think her appeal will be very broad. Cons, she's inflexible because you need to play her in the front row for the most value. One step further than that, you kind of almost need to play her in the second spot. I mean, there are cards which fill in the back row, like Brood. You can play Captain Carter on the location first and then play Brood down. So that is, you know, you don't mind so much about having her at the first spot there. But I think generally speaking, you are going to want her to be the second card that you play at location. So just that makes things a bit difficult. The importance of placement and the ordering, especially considering other buff cards she'll synergize with, may make her feel like a very awkward card to play. This is, I think, her biggest downfall. It makes it very challenging. Like, you're not always going to be able to play her where you want to. We always see that with locations. Locations cause problems. Things that change in the game cause problems. Juggernauts are out there, you know? Yeah, it might feel a bit difficult. And she only adds power to one location, so you have to commit quite a lot to that one location in order to win that location. Now, she is so strong at that location that you are pretty likely to actually win it. But we'll have to see. I mean, think about it. If you manage to get the full buffs from her, or the full benefit, I should say, she's a 4/9, which is obviously really good. And that's without you doing the shenanigans of buffing her and all that sort of thing. So definitely you'll be extremely strong at that location. But not only do you kind of have to play stuff before her, you obviously have to play stuff after her as well. So you have to extra commit at that location. So it just might make things a bit tough, that's all. Let's talk about the locations. Lots of good ones, and honestly quite a lot of bad ones as well, guys. So good ones, basically any location that buffs your cards there. So Xandar is great. Wakandan Embassy, if you can soak up that +2 to Captain Carter in your hand, that's fantastic, because you know that's basically symbolic of a +6. Taco Truck is really nice. Taco Truck is a little bit complicated, because it kind of means that you might want to play Captain Carter down as the first card at that location, so it'll take a little bit longer to get the buffs through. Stark Tower is, however, very nice. Again, we're getting the +6 instead of the +2. Smithsonian is superb, because not only do we want to play a lot of cards at that location, Smithsonian wants you to play a lot of cards at that location too, and is going to give Captain Carter the buff, and that's going to filter down to everyone else as well. So very, very cool. Onslaught Citadel, absolutely crazy, because it changes your potential buffs from +6 to +12, so that is truly madness. Nidavellir is crazy. Captain Carter, again, this is all presuming that she works with ongoing effects, basically, or you know, non-permanent power changes, which we think she does. I don't think she would be a season pass card if she didn't, right? And you know, this is the way the card is written. Anyway, Nidavellir makes her an 8 power card, so you are adding +8 onto the cards in the back. You could literally just play 3 wasps alongside Captain Carter and you'll win that location. Muir Island, absolutely fantastic, and Madripoor, we love it for at least the you know, you're definitely getting the +2 power from the first turn, which again, sort of a +6. Bad locations, Space for Throne, obviously it's just an automatic loss if you were stupid enough to play into that location. Kiln is really bad, because after turn 4 you can't play anything there, maybe Jeff, and you can probably only get Captain Carter down on turn 4. Isle of Silence is an obvious one, I'm not going to explain it. Our Lady of Saints, yeah, Captain Carter, to get the most value out of her, you have to have a full location, and Our Lady of Saints is going to merge your cards down if you do. Savage Land is going to block you from getting in the front row, which you don't want, and Atlantis is obviously, generally speaking, in an ideal world you would solo the location. I mean, often you can't anyway, so maybe it's not the worst, but you know what I'm saying. Let's move on to counters. Echo. Echo's going to be nasty, because they might, you know, the meta deck might sink to the top, or the meta shell might sink to the top. Brilliant. It might float. We're sinking to the top, baby. Yeah, we're totally shit. But somehow we are like a little floating turd, which should be sinking, but it's floated. And even though we're at the top, everyone's disgusted to see it. Yeah, when the meta shell becomes prevalent, or prevalent, it is prevalent. So I was wondering if it was prevalent. When the meta shell makes itself known, then the indicators of what deck you're playing might become obvious, and they could stick the Echo down. Now, we say this every time we mention Echo. She's not really in the meta so much, but she is a really strong card, and I think she probably is underplayed. I was actually playing her quite a lot in High Voltage recently, and she actually did really well for me there. Hazmat. Hazmat's going to take that Captain Carter down to 2 power at least, right? What if they've got a diamond back there as well? Absolutely gross. Now, we don't know if Captain Carter has a negative power, if she does get hit with double Hazmat and then diamond back or whatever. Is she going to remove power from your cards in the back? That would be bloody unfair. But yeah, could be quite funny. US Agent is absolutely gross, absolutely destroys Captain Carter. Rogue is obviously going to steal it. Some of these are so obvious. Enchantress, yeah, remove the power. Super Scrolls, fairly nasty. They can get a lot of value out of that. And Magneto is going to ruin your placements and disrupt your day. So yeah, we don't like that. But yeah, we always prefer talking about synergies rather than counters, guys. So what are those synergies? I did mention Wasp a minute ago. And actually, to be fair, I do think Wasp could be a good synergy anyway. Because you're not always going to, you know, things in the game might change and you're like, oh god, I need to sort of swap out of that location which I was building where Captain Carter is, and I need to play somewhere else. Well, actually, if you've got the Wasp, you can at least stick something in there and then concentrate on that lot of locations. But anyway, just generally, yeah, you might not always be able to afford to get that extra bit of value behind Captain Carter, so Wasp maybe could work a little bit there. Mr. Sinister we really like, because he's going to fill in those 2 spaces behind Captain Carter. Automatically get the buff there. Captain America Sam Wilson. oh, this one is awesome. You've already got the shield down. You play Captain Carter where the shield is, and yeah, the next thing that you play there is all going to get the buff. Now, actually, I didn't mention this in our first slide, or rather our mechanics slide, even though I did put a little note about it. Oh man, Glenn confirmed on Discord, I think he confirmed it a couple of weeks ago or something, that, or he didn't say specifically that Captain Carter isn't going to work with the shield, but I think he basically said that the only people called Captain America will work with the shield, which absolutely breaks my heart. I mean, I've said for you're absolute egg on my face, to be honest, guys, because I have said repeatedly in my videos that I think Captain Carter will work with Sam Wilson Captain America. I still think it should. They're throwing the shield around. How many cards in Marvel Snap can truly get this ability of working with Captain America's shield? I mean, there's a few, like Bucky Cap there surely will release eventually. There's probably a couple of others, but there's not many characters in Marvel that have actually wielded a shield in this way and are like proper just hardline good guys like Captain Carter. So I think it's a shame that they don't work, especially as it curves. Sam Wilson 2, Captain America 3, and then Captain Carter on 4. I think it's elegant. I think it would have been a nice little addition to the archetype. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. But she still does work well with Captain America Sam Wilson because of all their other synergies together as well. I've also got Captain America here, of course. Especially as Captain America can play it on 3. You curve into it so nicely with Captain Carter on 4. Excuse me. And then you're buffing the Captain Carter to 5. That means all of your cards in the back row are getting a +5. And that's if they're not an ongoing. If they're an ongoing, just a Howard the Duck. Okay, Howard the Duck gets +7. So if you play Howard the Duck behind Captain America and Captain Carter, he's a 9 power card. That's really good. Blue Marvel, we spoke about it. I really like how it curves nicely into Captain Carter. And Spectrum. Spectrum's going to be bananas with Captain Carter, because those +2s that you're giving to Captain Carter and anything else behind her, because you could, on turn 5, you could certainly play 2 ongoing cards behind Captain Carter. Those are all going to get buffs from Spectrum and from the Captain Carter buff filtering down. Oh, gross. So moving on to the deck ideas for you. Got several deck ideas. We'll start off with the budget one as always. This is for maybe newer players or lower collection level players, because the only Series 5 card that we've got in here is Captain Carter. And I've gone for sort of a Patriot style deck here. Maybe she'll fit into that quite nicely. So we do have the Wasp synergy that I spoke about. We got other ways to fill locations like Ultron and Doctor Doom. We have also got Iron Patriot in here who might copy the Ultron, so you've got to be wary and careful of that. So consider that when you place them, because basically if you haven't drawn Ultron, Iron Lad will hit Ultron 100% of the time. You have to be careful and cautious of that. But then a few things that we have in here that you might wonder why they're in a Patriot deck. We've got Gorgon, we've got America Chavez. I think you kind of want some nice ongoing options in this deck, just like ways to get value out of the cards in the early game. We've got America Chavez, hopefully might hit our Captain card. I mean, that is a really slim chance, but I just like the America Chavez. But with this kind of deck, like a Patriot deck, you don't need to worry about getting too much power in any individual location with like actually playing a card there, because you'll probably have more power that you can put there via your Doctor Doom or your Ultron. So you want to eke out as much value as possible. And what would typically be like a dump location, like the location where you play Ultron, is kind of often the location where you're actually getting less power. With the likes of Captain Carter now, maybe it's a bit higher. Or you play the Captain Carter somewhere else and then you fill in all of those other spots with the Ultron. And actually, even just with the Captain Carter alone, you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That becomes a 15 power location just from playing Ultron somewhere else. No other buffs, not even the Patriot. So, very interesting. But let's talk about a proper deck. This is Agent Carter. This is the set power deck that I sort of alluded to earlier. So we've got our Bast and our Agent Venom in here. We have got the brand new and improved Adam Warlock on here in here to give our deck a little bit more consistency. All of these cards benefit so much from gaining the power. And this deck is pretty much self-explanatory, but there is one thing that I want to mention, and that is Mystique. Now, theoretically, of course, you can play Captain Carter and then Mystique. However, you only want to do that if you have tagged Mystique via Bast or Agent Venom. You don't want to do that if you've just got a 0 power Mystique. However, if you have tagged them, oh my god, you really want to do that, because replicating the Captain Carter ability can be so strong. Especially, think about if you just like got random stuff down in other locations. You could have a location with Captain Carter and Mystique at the same place. On the final turn, you could Iron Man somewhere else to like mega secure it, and maybe you've played Athena there as well, so you already know you're over and above wild there. You could play like the Demon at the Captain Carter and Mystique location, and that Demon is like a 12 power card. So that location is like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 alone. And that's forgetting anything else that you might have played. But yeah, I just think this is cool. I think it's a really cool deck. Also, we've got the Ironheart in here as well. Ironheart hitting Captain Carter afterwards is super good as well. So you do have ways to actually buff Captain Carter beyond even what she is. So yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. Moving on to the second deck I've got for you, and it's a Mergers deck. This is basically my Savage Spider deck, and I've just swapped in Captain Carter. So this is probably what I'll be trying out. I think it's just such a fun deck. We've got lots of cards which buff cards. So America Chavez, we've got the Fastos in here. I actually do like playing cards like Okoye and Nakia in here, but I haven't got them in this one. Now, because we do have quite a lot of 4-drops, we've got Gwen, Galacta, Scarlet Spider, and Captain Carter. I have got the Zabu in here. You definitely want the Zabu down early, obviously. But then you've also got Mergers in here. So we got Hulkbuster, we got Penny, and we have got... Actually, are those my only Mergers? Yeah, those are the only Mergers in this. But yeah, anything you can do to buff up the Captain Carter, hopefully buff up the Scarlet Spider. Now, this deck is a little bit awkward, especially if you don't draw the Zabu, because at the end of the game, you've got lots of choices between what to do. I think generally speaking, you want to get Scarlet Spider down sooner rather than later, because it's just like a stress off your mind. But there is also a toss-up between, do you play the Gwen pool to get the buffs on the cards, or the Scarlet Spider down to make sure you have enough time to activate it. It's a little bit awkward, so we might see this deck might need some tweaking. You might need to drop something like the Gwen pool, which hurts to say, but you might need to drop something like that out of it. Drop the Zabu so you can get a bit more reliability and maybe merging in there, or even just another card that benefits from buffs like Sebastian Shaw would fit well in here. Could be cool. Now, please like the video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe and turn on notifications. All of this stuff really helps the channel, and I know you guys bloody love this channel, so yeah, please do it. It really does help me out. Let's talk about the star ratings. I've given her 3.5 stars overall, which is a little bit low for a season pass card, and I will say last month I think I gave Agamotto 3.5. Clearly I was a little low on the card. I think he should at least be a 4, if not a little bit higher. I will still say though, I still think that Agamotto brings a lot of inconsistency to decks, and I think the strength of his decks is being held up a lot by just the overpoweredness of a lot of other cards. Like Iron Patriot is so good, Sam Wilson is so good, Scream is so good. So I think he's being propped up a lot, but I can't. I'm basically saying, look guys, I can get it wrong. However, I do think she's a very potentially strong card, but I think the awkwardness of her makes her just so awkward and difficult to play in some situations. So I can't give her a massive score. I think from a fun perspective, 3.5, I think it might feel fun to like be protecting those people in your back row. For the archetype, I think she kind of has to be 4 stars because she is the first of her name. She's the first row mechanic card, so that has to account for something. But also just generally in particularly decks like ongoing decks and Doctor Doom decks, I think she's going to be really strong in those. And so from a competitive standpoint, I think, yeah, she'll definitely reward players who are building really intelligent decks. So I think from that perspective, 4 stars. And so I would give her a snap. I think she's worth getting. I say this every time we're talking about a season pass card, guys. But generally speaking, you get a lot of value from buying the season pass. So yeah, and often the season pass cards are sort of a little bit overpowered because I think Second Dinner want to sell the seasons, which is sort of fair enough. They are a business. So yeah, I think she'll be good. I think you should get her. And I think overall I'm very excited for this season. Now, massive shout out and thank you to one of my viewers. This was Saeed Amir Azar, who said, you know what would be great? A small section in your show about how the past week's card turned out for you personally. That is a fantastic idea. Absolutely love it. So let's talk about Khonshu. Khonshu. I think I can't actually remember what score I gave them. I certainly should have looked that. In fact, this is unprofessional. As you will know if you were watching last week, I gave Khonshu 4 stars. And I absolutely stand by that. I think he's absolutely awesome. For me personally, he's actually probably a higher star rating even than that. I absolutely love the card. Now, I quite like the discard archetype. I like cards like Scorn. It's just incredible. I really like playing like Colleen Wing and stuff like that. I've really enjoyed playing the first Ghost Rider. That's really awesome. Actually, the first Ghost Rider is kind of like also like the joint last card. But anyway, I have so loved playing Khonshu. In fact, I really like playing MODOK. Absolutely love playing MODOK in like classic Dracula decks, or even just when you're getting loads of value from the MODOK. Like you get a free Proxima Midnight, you get a free Scorn buff, all that stuff. I love it. And so it has felt so good to play MODOK, discard the Khonshu, and then that Khonshu come back. That is one of my favourite combos in the game now. I think it's felt so fun. To me, it's so fun. So yeah, I've been massively impressed with Khonshu. That's it. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said earlier, if you're new, you simply have to annihilate that subscribe button. We're on the road to 450 to the power of 10 million subscribers. And I'll see you next time. Thanks very much. Cheers.